Rock climbing has grown from a niche outdoor activity into a globalized sport that blends strength, problem-solving, and mental focus. Whether it's done in big outdoor crags or brightly colored indoor gyms, climbing challenges the body and the mind in equal measure. There's a unique satisfaction that comes from planning every move, fighting against gravity one hold at a time, and reaching the top through the effort of no one but your own. As the sport evolves, so does the different styles of climbing, each offering a distinct experience, community, and skill set. There's multiple different forms of climbing, the most common being bouldering, top rope, and lead climbing. I'll talk a little bit about free soloing later, but if you know what that is, you probably know why it's not on this list. Bouldering is an increasingly known sport and is currently more popular than any other form of climbing. For those who don't know what bouldering is, it is climbing but on much shorter walls, typically around 10 feet, where safety equipment is not required. This lack of need for material goods is one of the reasons why bouldering is so popular. All you really need is climbing shoes and some chalk. In bouldering, routes are typically referred to as problems. This is because they must be solved in order to reach the top. Boulder problems are graded on a V scale, where a number follows this letter, letting the climber know how difficult the problem is. The grades range from VB to V17, where VB is for those whom it is likely their first time climbing, and V17 is the hardest graded boulder ever completed, which has been done by 14 people ever. There are currently 7 confirmed V17s in the world, the most popular being Burden of Dreams, which has been completed by 5 people. While climbing something around a V10 may sound like it would be easy, I can assure you it is very difficult. V3 to V6 is the average grade an avid climber can complete. Professional boulderers are typically able to send between V10 and V13. To send means to complete a climb. Anything above this is considered to be elite. While indoor and outdoor bouldering share the same goal of reaching the top of the problem, they feel like 2 completely different worlds. Indoor bouldering gyms are a much more controlled environment where people known as route setters design routes specifically to be a specific grade and require specific moves and techniques. Indoors, you will often see many dynamic moves, which is presented in the Bouldering World Championships. This is a competition which takes place every 2 years and displays the newest forms of bouldering. During the evolution of the sport, it becomes more centered around dynamic movements such as paddle dynos, single-hand dynos, double dynos, and other forms of powerful movements. A dyno can be defined as a move where a climber uses momentum to jump from one hold to another, often losing all points of contact with the wall momentarily. While this powerful form of climbing has become increasingly popular within the indoor bouldering circle, it is unlikely you will be able to find moves as dynamic outdoors. Bouldering outdoors introduces an entirely new level of complexity. Every rock formation is unique, and rather than being set by professionals, all the problems are found. The texture of granite, sandstone, or limestone affects how you grip, and in many cases, holds are very difficult to see. Unlike in a gym, outdoor problems don't always have obvious sequences or color-coded routes, meaning you will have to read the rock to find your own path. On boulders that are very popular, there is often chalk on the holds that are meant to be used from those who have attempted the climb previously. Although this is not as obvious as colorful holds, it makes it easier to find a path up the rock. The landings can be uneven, so crash pads and spotters become essential for safety. Those who are grade chasers, meaning they are trying to complete the highest grade possible, will often climb outside. This is because most climbing gyms only set routes up to V10 or V11. While this makes sense since only 1% of climbers can climb above this grade, for those who are able to exceed this impressive rating, they must look outside. This is the reason all of the current V17 routes are outside, although there are replicas of Burden of Dreams in indoor gyms using 3D printed holds to mimic the outdoor wall. Top rope climbing is often the next step for many people after they've tried bouldering. It's a style where the rope is already anchored at the top of the wall, and the climber is safely attached to one end while their partner, called the belayer, manages the other. This setup means that if the climber slips or lets go, the rope catches them almost immediately. Because of the safety system, top rope climbing is great for learning technique and building confidence on taller walls. Top rope climbing is where I originally began climbing when I was around 4 years old. While it may seem dangerous since you can be very high off the ground, the safety equipment is incredibly trustworthy, and for those who climb safely, tragedies are almost unheard of. This form of climbing follows a different grading scale than bouldering. Instead of using a V-scale, the climbs are graded with the Yosemite Decimal System, also known as the YDS, starting around 5.5 for beginners and going all the way up to 5.15 for the world's hardest climbs. Anything from 5'5" to 5'9" is considered to be beginner level, 5'10" to 5'11" is intermediate, 5'12" to 5'13" is advanced, and 5'14" to 5'15" is professional level. Although top rope climbers use this grading scale, there are no 5'15" top rope climbs in the world. Instead, the higher level climbs are reserved for lead climbing, which I will get into later. Indoor top roping is the version most people are familiar with, especially those who climb at gyms. Each route is color-coded, similar to bouldering problems, and is often set to focus on specific skills including balance, endurance, or tricky foot placements. Indoors, everything is predictable. The holds don't change, and the rope systems are checked regularly for safety. There is also an option indoors called auto-belay, where two people are not needed. This is where a device is attached to the top of the wall, which allows someone to safely climb without a belayer. The invention of this device has been incredibly helpful for many people and makes climbing so much more accessible. As someone who goes to the climbing gym almost every day, finding someone to go with this often is very difficult. Since my gym has the option to use auto-belay, I'm able to climb safely without a partner. Outdoor top roping, however, feels very different. Instead of a padded gym floor, you might be standing on dirt, rocks, or uneven terrain. Anchors must be set up safely using the natural features of the rock, adding a layer of preparation and technical knowledge. Weather, sun, and rock type also play a big role. Climbing in sandstone in the desert feels nothing like climbing granite in the mountains. The outdoor experience often brings a deeper sense of accomplishment, as even the setup of the climb is a challenge. This is the point when more experienced climbers are the only ones who can participate due to the complexity of the setup procedure. In addition, outdoors there is no option for an auto-belay, meaning that unless you intend to solo, which is very complicated, you will need a partner. While this method may seem scarier, it is almost equally as safe as climbing indoors. As long as all the proper precautions are taken, such as ensuring that the rope is secure before climbing, there is very little risk of a tragic event taking place. After getting comfortable with top rope climbing, many climbers may eventually move on to lead climbing, which splits into sport climbing and traditional climbing, also known as trad climbing. Both involve climbing taller routes where the rope starts on the ground and the climber clips into protection points as they ascend, rather than relying on a rope that's already anchored at the top. This adds a lot more responsibility and mental challenge, as falling means you drop to the distance of your last clip. In both forms, the climber must use the rope to clip into gear, which is placed at certain places on the climb. The difference between the two forms is whether you are the one placing the gear or not. In sport climbing, bolts are pre-drilled into the rock, and the climber clips quick draws, which are two carabiners connected by a piece of webbing, into these bolts as they go. Sport routes tend to focus on strength, endurance, and problem-solving on steep terrain. Indoors, sport climbing is simulated on lead walls, where climbers clip into quick draws that are already hanging on the wall. It's a safe environment to practice falling, endurance climbing, and clipping technique. Sport climbing is the most popular form of climbing for those who are not boulderers and are experienced. This is because it allows for the climbing of difficult routes where rope cannot be anchored at the top, but is still very safe. Sport climbing holds the three hardest routes to ever be sent: Silence, DNA, and Big. These three routes are grades 515D and were climbed by Adam Ondra in 2017, Sebastian Bowen in 2022, and Jakob Schuber in 2023. Trad climbing, on the other hand, is a different world. Instead of clipping into bolts, climbers place their own removable protection, cams, nuts, and hexes, into cracks or features in the rock. Trad climbing is slower, more methodical, and mentally demanding because your safety depends on your gear placements and judgment. Indoor trad climbing isn't really possible since gym walls don't have natural cracks or features for protection, so this style remains mostly outdoors. Trad climbing is often seen as more difficult because of how dangerous it can be. The hardest trad route in the world is Bon Voyage, a 514D, which was first ascended by James Pearson and later repeated by Adam Ondra. This route is incredibly tedious as there are many places a fall could result in injury or even death. Now, I've already said one name twice, and I could have said it even more times: Adam Ondra. He is considered to be the greatest climber of all time. Not only has he sent V17 and a 515D, but he also has the world's hardest flash, and he's a multiple-time world champion, dominating in both lead climbing and bouldering. He has continued to push the bounds of what is possible in the sport of climbing, and his longevity in the sport is something few others have accomplished. His world record sport route flash was a 515A called Super Krakenet, and his world record trad route flash was a 515 known by the name Lexicon. The understanding which Ondra and other world-class climbers have of the movements required to complete these routes is almost impossible to recreate. Andra's most impressive feat is most likely his ascent of Silence, the first 515D in the world. This climb demanded a blend of advanced techniques including crack climbing and delicate control on wide, rounded holds known as slopers. Andra first bolted this route in 2012 and returned in 2016 to try it for the first time. He ended up working on this climb until he finally sent it in 2017. This dedication to one climb is something difficult to come by, even in the most elite climbers. Now, I wanted to come back to something I mentioned earlier, which is free soloing, and I don't believe there's anyone better to use an example of free soloing than Alex Honnold. Free soloing is a very rare form of climbing due to its dangerous nature. To free solo means to climb without any rope or safety equipment, but unlike bouldering, when you free solo, you're climbing at heights where a single mistake could be fatal. Honnold is best known for his historic ascent of El Capitan in Yosemite National Park, a 3,000-foot granite wall that he climbed completely ropeless in 2017, which is shown in the movie Free Solo. The climb is widely considered one of the greatest athletic achievements of all time, not just in climbing but in any sport. What makes Honnold's accomplishment so extraordinary is not only the physical difficulty of the route, which was a 513A, but the mental control required to perform every move perfectly under the pressure of knowing there is no room for error. Free soloing requires absolute mastery of movement, focus, and self-awareness. While most climbers will never attempt to free solo, athletes like Alex Honnold have expanded the boundaries of what humans are capable of, inspiring awe and debate in the climbing community and beyond. In the end, rock climbing is a test of the body, mind, and spirit. From bouldering problems in local gyms to the towering challenges of El Capitan, each style of climbing offers its own lessons in strength, problem-solving, and perseverance. Climbers like Adam Ondra and Alex Honnold pushed the boundaries of what is physically and mentally possible, inspired others to join the climbing community. Beyond elite achievements, climbing provides profound personal benefits, helping individuals build confidence, focus, and resilience while fostering a supportive community. Whether you climb for competition, adventure, or simply the joy of movement, the sport teaches that progress comes one move at a time, and the journey is often more influential than the accomplishment itself.